This is the Greg Bedard Patriots Podcast with Nick Cattles.
The Patriots have made the move. They are going to Drake Maye on Sunday against the Houston Texans. Was that the right move? Was it a panic move? We'll discuss as soon as I tell you about PrizePicks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Also, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. And you know what also time it is? It's Drake Maye time. First, let's do a little bit of business police blotter. The NFL has placed safety and captain Jabrill Peppers on the commissioner exempt list following his arrest over the weekend. Peppers, a team captain, may not practice or attend games while on the list. He can't even come into the building. The 29-year-old was arrested on Saturday morning. Very serious charges: assault and battery, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, possession of a Class B substance believed to be cocaine. Peppers has entered pleas of not guilty. His next court date is scheduled for November 22nd. Jabrill Maye talked about it today. I just want to be clear that any act of domestic violence is unacceptable for us as a team, no matter if you're a player, staff member. We're wholeheartedly against any type of domestic violence. He also went on to say, I do think that Jabrill has to go through the system, has to continue to go through a due process, and we'll see how that works out. So obviously he is not closing the door on him. Could we get further clarification at his next court date? It's possible. In my experience with these things, unless the victim recants, which is possible, that he's probably not going to be back this season. Certainly, possibly could be, but the wheels of justice spin slowly. I don't think we're going to have to wait for a trial or anything like that. We've heard from his attorney said that they have video evidence that paint Peppers in a more favorable light. We'll have to see all that shakes out. But certainly disappointing for the Patriots. Certainly one of their leaders, physical guy. I was just touting him a couple weeks ago, and Jabrill Maye did the same thing as well. With his hustle and tackle on the next to last play against the San Francisco 49ers. He's just that kind of player, and the Patriots keep losing those type of players, whether it's Juwan Bentley or David Andrews and now Peppers. Certainly disappointing and just another blow, so to speak, with the season. But aside from all that, the Patriots have pulled the lever. They have announced that Drake Maye will start. Jacoby Brissett will go to the bench for Sunday's game against the Houston Texans. Jabrill Maye said today, I think now Drake gives us the best chance to win. Now and going forward, he's been getting better every single week. As I've said before, at the end of training camp, he actually was training at a very high rate. That has continued through the early part of the season, so it was solely my decision to make this choice. He was asked about whether this was part of the plan, whether the plan was expedited. He said, I wouldn't say the plan was expedited. Again, the end of training camp, he was training up, and that never slowed down. So at this point, he gives us the best chance to win. He did also, Gerard went on to say that Elliott and ownership, all of us were on board with the change. Not really sure why. I mean, I understand why ownership would be involved. But, I mean, we just heard from Jabrill Maye, I don't know, a week or two ago, talk about how ownership has basically left him and Elliott alone. Made it sound like he barely even sees them or talks to them, and now all of a sudden they're involved in this decision, or at least they're being appraised of it. I don't really understand the need for that, other than I do think that ownership was involved in this decision in some way, shape, or form. As to the decision itself, and we'll get into a little bit, Drake Maye, is he ready? Is this a great opponent for him to be going against? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but let me just say, and I wrote this and sort of talked about it on Felger and Maz the other day. When the news came down, I was on air when the news came down. This doesn't sit very well with me. I was all on board for the plan. First of all, let's go back to the beginning. I was on board with them drafting Drake Maye, 3rd overall, all the way through. I have never had any doubts that he has the type of traits from his arm strength, athletic ability, build. Would you like his hands to be a little bit better for a Northeast team? Yes, but we'll have to see how that goes. He'll certainly get that opportunity for the rest of the season. I think he's very raw. I think he's very inexperienced compared to other guys in his draft class who have been, playing and on the whole doing a good job to, typical sort of rookie season, other than Jaden Daniels start slow and start to make progress. And, you're hoping for the same thing with Drake Maye. I mean, I would have been fine. I would have been better. I would have felt better had they been able to push this off to, say, mid-season, second half of the season, when it was clear the Patriots were out of contention. And you can make the argument that at 1-4, they're out of contention right now. And that's fine. But I wanted the Patriots to have a plan and stick to the plan. And it seemed like every week we were hearing all right, they're sticking to their plan, which I was very happy about. I did not want the Patriots to do what the Jacksonville Jaguars did when they drafted Blake Bortles, and Blake Bortles never would have been a great NFL quarterback. He certainly had all the physical skills. I don't know if he had it mentally. I think Drake Maye definitely has the intangibles, the smarts, the traits, his upbringing, his competitiveness. I think all that stuff is off the charts with Drake Maye, and that's why I was all on board with him being the 3rd overall pick. Now, I did have my draft order: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake Maye. If it was Jaden Daniels and Drake Maye, I would have taken Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams, the only question, which I don't know the answer to, and the Bears don't even know the answer to, is his makeup, what you need to be that guy, to be one of the elite quarterbacks. Certainly there's a lot of questions about that. Jaden Daniels, I had fewer questions. With Jaden, it was more physical and whether he could take a beating given his size, and a 6-game sample size is not going to tell you, it's going to be years. I mean, RG3 was rookie of the year and over Andrew Luck. And what ultimately did him in was injuries, along with, some personality things with him. But so all on board on Drake Maye. My evaluation coming out of college was similar to a lot of guys, whether it's Greg Cosell or Dan Orlovsky or whoever. Love the traits, love the flashes on film. Definitely green, inexperienced, undertrained. I would have loved to have spent upwards of a season laying that foundation, retraining him. So, in a similar fashion to Patrick Mahomes. That's ideally what I wanted for Drake Maye, but everybody's different. I mean, Drake might learn faster than anybody. He might be picking up, whether it's his footwork. I definitely would like to see him over time. And it's not something that's going to happen in one off season. Tighten up his motion, which I do think is too long, but that's something that can be worked on. I just thought especially considering this offense, and that Alex Van Pelt has said, you need to operate from under center in this offense. Drake has a long ways to go in terms of that. I don't expect him to be under center very much, if at all. I just don't think he's very comfortable with that. I think every opportunity that we've seen him under center, it's been an adventure, and it's not just the centers; it's him as well. So, but that being said, and this is part of where the Patriots are, I think the plans that they had for this season, for this offense, that Alex Van Pelt had for this offense, have been thrown out the window. All the stuff that we saw them working on in the offseason, the wide zone, the boot action, all that stuff has gone away because they can't block it and they don't have the athletes up front. Could that change a little bit with Maye as the quarterback? It's possible. I mean, he'd certainly be much better on the boot actions and things like that, just because of his speed, where he can threaten the outside, but also his ability to flip the hips is way better than Jacoby Brissett. But this from a schematic and scheme standpoint, this might be a good fit, a better fit than, say, if Jacoby Brissett was out there and running what Alex Van Pelt visualized for his system. That is under center and all that stuff, the wide zone and the boot and stuff like that. They just don't do that anymore. Their best runs are duos inside, and you see them pulling guards, and it's more like the traditional Patriots offense. And I do think that style of offense is more conducive to the shotgun or pistol or whatever they decide to do with Drake Maye. Whereas if the Patriots were humming with the wide zone and Van Pelt's scheme with Brissett, as far as operating it, I'm just talking about if in that scenario, if Brissett was the one holding them back, that the runs were there and the boot action was there, but Brissett just couldn't do it. I think that would be a harder fit with Drake Maye. So in the current state, the Patriots' current state of offense, do I think he can operate this? Yeah, I do. But back to the decision itself. And like I said, I don't know if I finished my thought, but, I viewed Drake Maye and Bortles similar in terms of prospects. Maye had a much higher ceiling because of intangibles, but in terms of the athlete, they were sort of inexperienced. The Jaguars surprised everybody by drafting him. I don't know, it was in the top 10, maybe even top. I think it was around 6, and shocked everybody. I think I had him more in sort of the teens type of things, but they saw the physical traits in a somewhat similar decision that the Patriots made. They saw the physical traits and they said, we're going to take him. And the GM at the time, Dave Caldwell, said when they drafted Blake Bortles, he's not playing his rookie year. We are going to build him up. We are going to train him correctly. He is not going to play. Guess what? With Chad Henne at quarterback, their version of Jacoby Brissett, the Jaguars started 0-3, 0-4. Blake Bortles started. Now, he did take them to an AFC Championship game and might have beaten the Patriots if a certain fumble call went the Jaguars' way. But that was more about the running game and the defense with that team. He made a few plays. But the fact of the matter is a quote unquote franchise quarterback, he was out of the league in 6 years. And I just worried about that with the Patriots. I said from the beginning, you take Drake Maye, that's fine. And I don't care if he doesn't start until year 2. That does not matter to me. It doesn't matter to me at 3 overall, not one bit. As long as you get the guy and you believe he's the guy and you train him up to be the guy, I'm fine waiting a year. I don't care about wasting a year on a rookie deal or anything like that. Never cared anything about that. The development of Drake Maye was first and foremost. The Patriots said they had a plan. I thought they were sticking to the plan. To me, this is not the plan. To start him week 5 against the Houston Texans with a 1-4 team, with an offensive line that has been as bad as the Patriots have been. Now, it was a little bit better on Sunday against the Dolphins, who aren't exactly challenging up front, certainly not without Jalen Phillips. Yeah, it was better. I'll give them that. And it looks like this group with Vidarian Lowe and Michael Jordan, who probably has been their best offensive lineman so far. And Nick Leverett certainly had his challenges in this game. I think he's a better player than that. How good? I don't know. Owenu back at right guard still doesn't look great. I question his conditioning. He seems to wear down. And DeMontre Jacobs at right tackle had some rough reps, gave up a lot of pressure. But on the whole, I would say it was pretty decent for a guy who's never really played there in his first game. So there is hope that this offensive line, which played all, 75 snaps, whatever it was, 60 snaps, that this can be their unit that they go forward with and figure it out. But look, the Patriots are 1-4 at this point. What doesn't sit well with me is they made this decision coming off a game, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, where I thought the loss to the Dolphins, 15-10, against a bumbling Dolphins crew that was throwing up all over themselves again multiple times. To me, that loss was about the coaches. It was about Drake Maye. It was about Alex Van Pelt. It was some about Covington. Special teams, wasn't great. And to me, this reeks of a panic situation that a Patriots team that if they were better coached, if they were more buttoned up in what they do, they would be 3-2 at this point and tied for the division lead. And we wouldn't be talking about Drake Maye, but they botched the end of the Seattle game, botched the end of the first half of the Seattle game when Gerard Mayo gave Seattle 3 points that would have been handy. It would have been advantageous to the Patriots later on in that game. They botched that game. The Miami game was just a complete debacle in my mind. And I just think scapegoating Jacoby Brissett was just wrong. I mean, look, did he play well? No. But the fact of the matter is he led them on a scoring drive. It was part of a scoring drive that should have had a touchdown with a go-ahead touchdown with a minute left to Jalen Pope. But the rookie, was it a perfect throw? No. Was it a good throw? No. But it was good enough. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 yards when he touches the ball between him and the end line, and all of a sudden Jalen Polk decides to scissor kick his legs, and he can't get both feet in bounds. If he catches that ball, I don't think they're making this move to Jacoby Brissett. Certainly, I don't think they're to Drake Maye. Certainly, they're not making this move if the coaching staff was up to snuff and delivered winnable games against the Seahawks, against the Dolphins. And so, in that way, it does not sit well. It just seems like this coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing. They're grasping at straws, and they are looking to Drake Maye to basically save their hides. And, I don't like that. And I'm not going to say it's unfair to Jacoby Brissett. I'm sure he's taking a lot of hits, but he's also making $8 million a year, and he knew the situation here, and he has not played well the last 2 weeks. And after the 49ers game, after reviewing the film, I said he was a detriment. He was one of the top reasons why the Patriots lost that game. If it happens again 2 straight weeks, then May watch is full steam ahead. And Jacoby did not play well in that game. He was my lowest graded player again on offense. And so on film, statistically, analytics, what have you, is this decision justified? Yes. But I just think that considering the coaching blunders and Jalen Polk's inability to get 2 feet down on a catchable ball to win the game, are more responsible for the Patriots being 1-4 than the quarterback. So that's sort of where I am on that. Let me tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in like they did the 2 previous weeks for me. You can now win up 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Look, So I had a 2-week winning streak. It did not happen this week. I told you I did not feel confident about this week. We'll have to see whether that changes for the Texans. I will be back later in the week, hopefully with Nick, who's traveling right now, and hopefully we can get back on the winning side. But I'm confident that'll happen. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, so let's talk about Drake Maye and his readiness. And I guess we can start with the decision. I don't like how it went down. Does that mean that this is a bad decision? No, I'm not. No, it really is. I think that he was going to play at some point, and from everything I've heard, from everything we've heard, the kid has been a quick learner. Now, I will point out that I think Gerard Mayo. So, I said, I think it was like a week ago, that I heard from people inside the building that they thought Drake Maye was a little bit more of a ways off than I think it was after the 49ers game. People were like, oh, well, we need to start him. Of course, this has been an every week thing, just about, certainly since the Jets game. And I was told that he wasn't quite ready, that there were some operation issues, just the basics of operating the system that deemed him not quite ready. Now, in terms of when he would be ready, I have no clue. But Mayo sort of addressed this today when he said, where have you seen Drake's biggest growth this season over the last 5 weeks? Mayo said, just operating the huddle. I think it starts right there. Getting the call, getting in the huddle, getting out of the huddle, going out there and executing the play. That's kind of, what I was talking about. Sounds like he's improved in that area, at least enough where the coaches are like, okay, he's at an acceptable place right now. We'll have to take their word for it. We shall see. So they're starting Drake Maye. I think that I have no prediction on what he's going to do. I have no clue whether he's ready or not. What I do know is that, and this is similar to what we saw in the preseason and what we talked about, and even the Jets game when he appeared, Drake Maye is a very good athlete, and with a very big arm, and he can really run. So because of that, he's going to make some splash plays in every game. It's the other plays that you worry about. Is there going to be consistency? Is he going to read things out right? Is he going to get confused by anything that he says? People are looking to Drake Maye to elevate a Patriots operation that isn't great. I would say the coaching isn't great on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line we know is shaky, and the weapons aren't great, and they're young and kind of raw. Pretty much similar to where he was at North Carolina a year ago with offensive coordinator change that was not good, made it a mess. The offensive line was kind of a mess. His receivers, he didn't have his top receivers, Vontaze Walker or whatever his name is, had to deal with eligibility issues. He had lost some guys in the draft. So, to me, it's a very similar situation that Drake Maye's walking into with the Patriots, similar to his last year at UNC. The good part about that is this is not a quarterback who needs everything perfect to operate, and he's not used to that. He's never really had that, so that's good. He's used to what he's going to encounter with the Patriots. As opposed to, say, Mac Jones, who probably needed a little bit more of like perfect situations. Drake Maye doesn't need that. Now, that being said, Drake Maye wasn't great his last season at North Carolina. So you can't say like Patriots fans are hoping Drake Maye is going to elevate a suboptimal operation. Drake Maye didn't elevate a suboptimal operation at UNC. Now, he's a year older. He's around professional players. He's around professional coaches. Can that also help him? Yeah, absolutely. But, you just worry about the consistency. And I don't really look, they made their decision. The coaches know better. I have no clue what he's doing on the practice field. And I don't really believe any reports about these guys or these players are saying this and these coaches are saying that. It's practice. I've talked to enough NFL coaches and certainly a lot lately, asking them about, what do you think about this and that? And they're just like, practice doesn't matter. I mean, what if somebody's doing something well in practice when they're not really in pads and things like that? And this goes to the preseason with Drake Maye. Drake Maye was a 7-on-7 Hall of Famer. When the pass rush and the pads went on, that's when he struggled a bit more. But I look, they made their decision. I expect him to struggle. I expect him to bring a lift for a game or two. I would expect that. And I think he'll make enough plays that I think will certainly make the Patriots more entertaining and fun to watch. I don't care if he throws I don't care about turnovers. I don't care about sacks. I just want to see him get out there and get experience and get after an adjustment period. I want to see him start to get incrementally better as the season goes along. And I have hopes for that. I have high hopes for that. As far as the Texans this week, a lot is going to be made about their pass rush, which is really good. I was just watching some of their film. I will say they are really fast on film. I think that's going to be a bit of a shock for Drake Maye. I think that was a little bit of a shock against the Jets. You also have to remember, so, he's doing quote unquote great in practice. That's against a Patriots defense. Yes, they show a variety of things, not as much as they used to, not as much as he would have seen in the summer. I think injuries are partly to do with that. But we're also talking about a very slow Patriots defense that has gotten slower by the week with the injuries to, Kyle Duggar, Jabrill Peppers situation, Juwan Bentley, all that stuff. So I think from what I've seen on film so far of the Texans, I think that Drake Maye he's going to have to gear up his speed to be ready for this. And I think it's a situation, it's incumbent upon Alex Van Pelt to figure out a way to get his feet wet in the game and not to put too much on him early and let him get adjusted to the speed and then sort of go from there. And, when you're dealing with these young quarterbacks, something else that is incumbent on Alex Van Pelt, who I haven't been enamored with so far, watching his scheme and certainly the execution of the scheme by the Patriots. There were some route issues in this past game, which weren't great, and I think led to some poor plays by Jacoby Brissett. It's incumbent upon Alex Van Pelt he needs to determine what Drake Maye can and can't do right now. And he needs to, I don't care if it's simple. I don't care if they have, 5 to 7 plays that that he can execute. You can dress him up in different ways and you can get to him different ways, but fundamentally they're the same type of plays. And Alex Van Pelt is going to have to figure that out and put Drake Maye in those situations. And I don't care if they have to do it the whole game against the Texans. I don't care if the Texans get it figured out. But what you can't do is all of a sudden get into a game and put Drake Maye in a position where he's uncomfortable with the play calls, that he's not used to them. So, you'll also often hear, I heard Josh McDaniels talking about this on Julian Edelman's podcast when he was asked a little bit about Drake Maye, and he talks about like buckets, and when you're a young quarterback, you're dealing with young quarterbacks, that bucket's pretty small. It's like a coffee cup size, but you got to figure out what's in their bucket. and stay there, and then you slowly expand it as you go along. So I would look for the Patriots to do that. I think they're going to take advantage of his legs. I do think that's an advantage for them, especially, these defenses could blitz and tee off on Jacoby Brissett because they knew where he was going to be, and he couldn't really elude anybody, even though he thinks he can. Drake Maye is a different beast. He'll be able to get to the outside on some guys. He'll be able to make some plays with his legs. One thing from watching the Bills-Texans game, and remember, this Texans defense made Josh Allen go 9 of 30. So basically, if Drake Maye can do anything better than that, that's pretty good. Of course, the Texans were getting geared up for the Bills. I don't know how much they're going to be geared up for this. But I will say one thing going against Drake Maye and the Patriots in this matchup against the Texans is they just faced Josh Allen, who, look, Drake Maye's not Josh Allen. You're hopeful he's going to be hopefully Josh Allen light when he's a little bit more developed. But the Texans clearly had a plan, a lot of spying, how they rushed Josh Allen, where they worried about his athletic ability. So they just came off learning that, executing that in the game to a high level, and I assume they're going to use the same sort of plan. They'll probably just move it over to this week, and that makes it a little bit less likely that Drake Maye is going to be able to use his legs effectively in this game, but it's part of what he does. It's definitely in his bucket at this point, so I still expect him to do that. Let me tell you about Gametime. It's that time of year. It's football. It's getting cool out. I got to be at a football game, whether it's high school, college, or pro. For college and pro, I go check out the Gametime app to check out their tickets. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting picks to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Love all-in pricing. Toggling this feature will show the total up front. None of those annoying surprise fees at checkout, which I hate. Love the seat views. Give you a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Okay. Real quickly, because now with the Drake Maye news, this seems like years ago that they lost to the Dolphins on Sunday. To me, like I said earlier, to me, their loss to the Dolphins, to me, was solely on the coaching from Alex Van Pelt's game plan, which was not nearly run heavy enough. The Dolphins entered with the 26th DVOA against the run. They had Tyler Huntley at quarterback. They were scoring less than the Patriots. This is a game, and look, I'm going to put all of this on Jerod Mayo. He is the head coach, okay, and he is a CEO head coach. So it's not like he's busy game planning on defense. He has DeMarcus Covington for that. He's not game planning on offense or special teams. Jerod Mayo's there to oversee everything in this organization, including his coaches and the game plans. And for the Patriots, and basically what you get, and this is what Bill Belichick would do with the Patriots with his coaches on Monday evening, sort of after they put the last game to bed. Bill Belichick would instruct his coaches, how each of their game plans should go this week. And he would tell them exactly like, this is how we win this game. And I'm just trying to find the part where I said this. This is what Mayo should have told Van Pelt going into this game. We're breaking in a new offensive line. Let's go run heavy, at least to start this game, to get their feet under them. Miami's run defense is not very good. They're scoring 11 points a game. Tyler Huntley is their quarterback. They are very mistake prone. We shouldn't have to do much offensively to win this game. Probably 16, 17 points. Control the ball, play field position, and don't turn it over. If we do what we did against the Bengals, that should be good enough. I want a 65-35 run pass split. I don't care if we don't throw 10 passes in this game. The Dolphins are soft. Let's be physical with them, pound them, and see how the game goes. Guess what happens? The Patriots come out, they run for 7 yards, and then they go pass, sack. In the first half, the Patriots dropped back 17 times, including penalties. They rushed 7 times. And that one of their rushes included a 33-yard touchdown run that was blocked beautifully by the offensive line. And did that in having a lead, a 7-3 lead, and then, what was it? 10-3, 10-6, 10-9. They had the lead the whole game. Did Gerard Mayo get on this headset and say, Alex, the Dolphins have missed a field goal. We blocked one of their punts. They had a field goal snap that was a ground ball. They were inside the 20, and they snapped the ball early for the second week in a row. That was a 22-yard loss, took them out of field goal range. Like Gerard Mayo should have just said, don't throw the ball. Just pound the ball away, which is exactly what Mike McDaniel did at halftime after his mistake-prone first half. He said, all right, screw this. We can't do X, Y, and Z. Guess what? We're just going to run the ball. Tyler Huntley and the Dolphins scored on all 3 of their second half possessions. So there was that with the offense, along with the decision, before halftime, they run for what was it, 8 yards, and then they throw, and basically gave Miami a field goal, or at least attempt at a field goal before halftime. At the end of the game, they get down there and get on the 12-yard line with about a minute and a half left, all 3 timeouts. And Gerard Mayo should have been on his headset to AVP and saying, this is going to be the last possession of the game. So do what you have to do, which would include running on first down at least. You have all 4 downs, okay? You need a touchdown. You have all 4 downs. You have 12 yards. You have 3 timeouts. The Patriots should not have had to throw the ball there. And guess what they did? They threw 4 times. Be that as it may, Jacoby Brissett delivers a decent pass to Jalen Polk, and he doesn't get his feet in bounds. So that's a little bit on the offense. I also want to point out that Gerard Mayo said a couple things which I completely disagreed with. He said after the game, I think there's no question we're tough, but we just have to get better from an execution standpoint. Tough? I mean, look, I'm not going to say they're not tough, but does a tough team let the Miami Dolphins run for almost 200 yards against them when they have Tyler Huntley at quarterback? Just the week before, the Dolphins running backs had 66 yards on 22 carries against the Tennessee Titans. They couldn't leak a drop running the game. All of a sudden, they play the Patriots, and they can run all over them, and that's a tough team? No, that's not a tough team. When tough teams run the ball, and they stop the run to start with. The Patriots didn't run enough. Jacoby Brissett should not be attempting 34 passes in a game where the Patriots basically led throughout the game. That's just horrible coaching and decision-making, and that starts with the head coach. The run defense, was terrible. They were not tough enough up front. Devon Godchaux wore down as the game went on. Him and Marte Mapu gave up the game-winning touchdown. So there's that. And then there was also this on Monday. In the aftermath of the game, Gerard Mayo said, I thought we played well enough defensively and on special teams to win the football game. Sorry. I'm just looking for the part where I wrote about this on BSJ. What game was he watching? What is he talking about? You can look, globally at, they only allowed 15 points, but that's also like taking out, how many points? If the Dolphins were a competent unit, if Tyler Huntley could hit wide open guys that were out there and get the ball out of his hands, the Dolphins probably score 30 points in that game. Just because you only gave up 15 points doesn't mean that's good defense, especially not when you're going against Tyler Huntley and the state of the Miami Dolphins offense, which is scoring 11 points a game. All of a sudden they score 15 against you, and certainly should have scored in the 20s. Like I said, the defense allowed, so the Miami running backs rushed 35 times. Remember, Jacoby Brissett dropped back. I think he had 36, including sacks plus penalties. It was like 40. Miami rushed 35 times. Their running backs for 184 yards, including 7 straight times to take the lead with their only touchdown. Dolphins and Huntley scored in all 3 of their second half possessions. And then there's also this. No one has talked about this, but the defense basically handed Miami 6 of their points, because if you recall, at the end of the first drive, the Dolphins had 3rd and 17 from the New England 49. Okay. The Patriots just need to hold them to, 6-7 yards, and they probably don't kick a field goal. They probably punt. But guess what the Patriots did? They had a conservative play call. They gave up an easy 13 yards to Jonnu Smith, and Jason Sanders, because of that yardage, hit a 54-yarder. To me, I put that on the defense. That's not good defense. That's not playing well enough to win. That's conceding 3 points. Near the end of the third quarter, the Dolphins had 3rd and 13 at the New England 40, right sort of on the edge of field goal range. Now, I don't know if they did this because they were going against tendency, because the Patriots, and we've seen other teams use this, again, specifically the Seahawks, and they even talked about this. The Patriots are a very high pressure team on the edge of field goal range. So I don't know if they just did this to screw their tendencies, but it was an epic fail, because Christian Gonzalez, who played great coverage pretty much all day against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, was asked to play conservative, and he's like 10 yards off of Jalen Waddle, and he catches an easy 11-yard reception, and that leads to a 47-yard field goal. Again, that's good defense. That's good enough. I disagree. And the special teams were good? Seriously, what game is Gerard Mayo watching? Brendan Schooler had a great punt block. Okay. Again, they got Jake Bailey. That's like 2 years in a row. Obviously, they know something from when he was here. But Joey Sly missed a 33-yard field goal. Bryce Behringer had 3 touchbacks that affected field position. In a game like this, field position should have been like, 3rd on the list in terms of things we have to do to win this game. And Behringer was terrible in this game. And he also had a shank punt that was a net of 31 with the return that gave Miami the ball at the New England 44 with 55 seconds before halftime. Luckily, that's when they had the ground ball snapped, but that's not good special teams. So, I don't know what Mayo's talking about. I don't know what games he's watching, because what he should have said was, starting with the coaches and starting with me, it was not good enough against Miami. And he probably just should have fell on the sword. But, of course, they don't want to take any blame for anything. He should have said, I lost this game for the team. We did not have the right game plans. We didn't make the right decisions. Nobody was perfect in this game, starting with me. And that is not going to happen again. I am going to learn from that. Did we hear that? No. What we got was Jacoby Brissett got thrown under the bus, and he was made the scapegoat for this game, which was just wrong on so many different fronts, least of which was the Jalen Polk touchdown. That if Jalen Polk gets 2 feet down and they win that game, they're not making this move. I know certain people, and I know, are reporting, oh yeah, it wouldn't have mattered, like blah, blah, blah. But bull crap. You can't bench a guy who led a game-winning drive like that. I mean, look, it wasn't good. But, I mean, how many times have we seen this in, Tom Brady or any other quarterback that like, all right, man, he stinks. He's throwing interceptions, taking sacks. But at the end of the day, guess what? I mean, look, Patrick Mahomes is doing this every week. He hasn't been really good this year. But guess what? At the end of the day, he delivers. He delivers a victory. If Jacoby Brissett delivered a victory, I don't think they're making this choice. So, that's sort of my synopsis on the Miami game, but, be that as it may, it's now May Day. I'm looking forward to it. It's certainly going to be more interesting. It's going to be more things to write about, more film to analyze. And, Giardi and I are going to bring it to you all on BSJ. If you haven't signed up, we would love to have you aboard. Every little bit counts for us at BSJ. So, we would love to have you aboard. Anyways, make sure you check out PrizePicks. I'll be coming back later in the week with my picks for this game. Use code CLNS to get $50 off instantly. $50 instantly when you play $5. And also Gametime. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. We will see you later in the week as we prepare for Drake Maye's debut. Appreciate you all listening in, and we will talk to you soon.